law. A federal appeals court now deciding whether Texas has the authority to arrest and deport people suspected of entering the U.S. illegally. This after a flurry of court decisions created confusion for law enforcement, for civil rights groups, and for immigrants. Joining me now is former policy director for Michelle Obama and president and CEO of Global Refuge, Krish O'Mara Vignarajah. Krish, welcome. Thank you for being here. Texas enforcing SB 4. I mean, that was creating confusion even before this legal back and forth. So I want to play some of what Governor Greg Abbott had to say earlier today about the state of immigration in Texas. Take a listen.
I wish it was just people like it was decades ago. People who are looking to find maybe a job, make ends meet. The fact of the matter is that the people who are coming across the border are far more dangerous than what we've ever seen come across our border. We are facing a record number of known terrorists on the terrorist watch list who are being apprehended coming across the border.
What are you hearing about the impact this is having on immigrants and specifically detained migrants and those who are in the asylum process who are presumably protected, right?
You would think. And I think, when they say that everything's bigger in Texas, perhaps that includes the political grandstanding that you just heard from Governor Abbott. We know that this is not an isolated incident. It comes in the wider context of Governor Abbott's immigration feud with the federal government. Operation Lone Star is something that he's invested $12 billion that Texas taxpayers have paid to put up razor wire, to put up buoys. And those have an impact on the clients that we serve at Global Refuge. These are children and families who are exercising a legal right, which SB 4, this new Texas policy, would impede. It's why we believe that it will be struck down ultimately as both illegal and unconstitutional. But in the interim, it will have a chilling effect. We saw even under the Trump administration when policies like this were put in place, playgrounds would be empty because our clients and other immigrants would be fearful of law enforcement coming after them, racially profiling them. And it's deeply troubling.
And look, whatever the Fifth Circuit decides, the status of this law, it is likely heading back before the Supreme Court. So your biggest concerns are what if this Texas law actually goes into effect?
We know that the Supreme Court has considered in 2012 a similar law like Arizona's Show Your Papers, which was ultimately struck down. But what we are worried about is, first and foremost, what does this signal to immigrant clients? We know that it will criminalize the very act of seeking asylum. We also know that it would be wildly impractical. For one, the Mexico government has been clear that they will not receive anyone turned back in light of this policy. Even in the Fifth Circuit ruling hearing this week, it was clear that Texas representatives have no idea how they will implement this. And so we're just concerned about the chaos and disorder that this will create, that it'll have a domino effect on other states like Iowa, who are looking to institute similar rules. There's a reason why immigration is a federal issue, because we can't have each state implementing its own policies.
So if the appeals court upholds this law, enforcing it, that's still a point of contention among law enforcement agencies that are tasked with arresting migrants. Some police departments are concerned about taking on this responsibility for many reasons, and those include how to find probable cause, how deportations are coordinated with federal agents. Does Texas have to answer to questions about how this gets implemented?
Absolutely. And I think that's, a case in point of what we saw in the Fifth Circuit hearing. It was clear when asked questions about the messiness that, your examples raised, Texas doesn't have answers. For example, a judge asked Texas lawyers what would happen if a person entered the country from a different border state and then came to Texas. And there were no responses. I think it's clear they haven't thought through how they would implement this unconstitutional and illegal law.
Krish O'Mara Vignarajah, there's a lot more to talk about. We'll do that again sometime. Thank you so much.